They're watching you, and not just through your phone, through walls, through your car, through the sky, right now. While you sit there, you're being scanned, analyzed, and logged into databases you've never heard of by companies you've never met. In 2024 alone, over 318 million facial images were collected in the U.S. by retail systems and public cameras without your consent. More than 92% of smartphones leak location data even when settings say they don't. Your face, your voice, your habits, your heat signature, it's all being harvested. This isn't paranoia. This is the surveillance economy, and you're the product. Here are 5 places you're being watched, and you don't even know it. 5. That smart TV in your living room? It's not just watching you. It's watching for you. It's not just the government you have to worry about. That sleek, ultra-thin smart TV mounted on your living room wall? Yeah, the one you leave on in the background while folding laundry or binging your favorite shows. It's collecting data on you constantly. And no, this isn't some urban legend about TV signals bouncing back to the CIA. This is corporate surveillance, and it's as real as your Netflix subscription. According to a 2023 report from Consumer Reports, over 90% of smart TVs sold in the U.S. collect viewing data by default, a process called automatic content recognition. What does that mean? Your TV is literally scanning the pixels on the screen to figure out what you're watching, whether it's a streaming app, a Blu-ray, or even an HDMI-connected gaming console. It then sends that data, timestamps, channel, genre, and even how long you stayed on a scene, straight to data aggregators. But it gets darker. Some manufacturers like Vizio were caught in 2022 collecting data even when ACR was supposedly disabled, resulting in multiple class action lawsuits. Oh, and the microphone. Most smart TVs come with built-in voice assistants, and yes, they're listening. Sometimes even when they're not supposed to. In 2024, a researcher demonstrated that Samsung and LG TVs could be exploited to record ambient room audio without triggering any visible alerts. Your arguments, your late-night conversations, your awkward silences, potentially all stored in server logs. And before you scoff and say, "I've got nothing to hide," remember this. Your data is being bundled, anonymized, they claim, and sold to ad firms, insurers, and political campaign groups. That weird ad you got for arthritis cream after watching a war movie featuring an injured vet? That wasn't random, it was calculated. And don't think you're safe just because you don't use your TV's built-in apps. As long as it's connected to Wi-Fi, it's phoning home. Disabling ACR is buried deep in the settings menu. Most users never find it. Factory resets often turn it back on. Your best defense? Disconnect it from the internet entirely or use a filtered router. But then again, most people won't. Because convenience is addicting and surveillance, well, it's profitable. 4. Your voice assistant doesn't need a wake word anymore. It's always listening, and it's not just for convenience. If you've ever thought, "It's weird how my phone knows what I was just talking about," you're not wrong. You're not imagining things. In fact, if you have a smart speaker like Alexa, Google Nest, or even just Siri on your iPhone, you're willingly living with a device that's constantly, silently absorbing your private conversations. And no, it's not waiting politely for you to say, "Hey, Alexa." In reality, these devices record small audio snippets all the time, even when you're not actively speaking to them, and send them back to their cloud servers. According to a 2023 study published in the Journal of Cybersecurity and Privacy, over 30% of wake word-activated devices trigger falsely, often during TV shows, casual conversation, or even background noise. In other words, they're eavesdropping, accidentally or otherwise. But the real kicker, those recordings don't just vanish. They get stored, sometimes reviewed. In 2024, Amazon quietly updated its terms to admit that Alexa interactions may be used to train machine learning models, a sanitized way of saying your voice data might be combed through by human contractors and AI systems alike. In fact, whistleblowers from Amazon and Google have both gone public, saying they've listened in on arguments, intimate moments, even children singing or playing, everything from embarrassing to tragic. These clips are often labeled as data for quality improvement. Cute, right? And it doesn't stop with home speakers. Many cars now include built-in voice assistants. BMW, Tesla, Hyundai, all of them ship with always-on microphones. Think you're having a private conversation in your vehicle? Think again. In 2024, privacy watchdog The Markup found that over 60% of vehicles with infotainment systems had microphones that were collecting more data than the manufacturer disclosed, and in some cases, that data was shared with third-party apps like Spotify, Waze, and even insurance partners. Here's where it really goes off the rails. In the UK, police already use voice assistant logs as admissible evidence in court, and in the US, that trend is catching fire. In one murder case, Amazon handed over Alexa recordings without a warrant after a vague public safety concern. That's right, your virtual butler could also be your snitch. Want privacy back? Unplug it. Literally. Kill the mic in your phone settings. Cover your smart speaker with a Faraday cage if you have to, because these aren't just helpful little gadgets anymore, they're Trojan horses, and you're the payload. 3. Your smartphone's sensors are spying on you. Even when you think they're off, most people assume they're in control. They believe that by turning off their camera, denying microphone access, or even switching on airplane mode, they've escaped the panopticon. But your phone isn't just a communication device. It's a high-grade surveillance tool with over a dozen passive sensors that never truly turn off. And many of them, you can't control. You can't even see them working. In fact, in 2023, researchers at the University of Illinois demonstrated that gyroscopes and accelerometers inside modern smartphones can be exploited to detect speech patterns, identify keystrokes, and even guess what you're typing, all without microphone access. That's right. Your phone's movement sensors can reconstruct your conversations through micro vibrations in the air. Still with me? It gets creepier. Your barometer, meant to measure air pressure for fitness apps, can also determine whether you're indoors, in a basement, on an airplane, or walking upstairs. Combined with GPS data, which remains accessible to apps even in background mode, unless you've explicitly revoked permissions, these sensors can paint a terrifyingly detailed picture of your movements, routines, even mood. And that's not a bug, it's a feature. According to an audit by the nonprofit app Census, over 75% of popular Android and iOS apps transmit sensor data to third parties, often without clearly stating it in their privacy policy. Here's a fun one. Even if you deny an app permission to access your camera, clever developers can infer your surroundings through the light sensor. If the ambient brightness spikes, they know you just walked outside. If it drops, you're probably in your car. Combine that with Bluetooth scanning, which detects nearby devices even if you didn't pair with them, and they now know who you're near. Did you know that in 2022, Bluetooth beacons in retail stores were responsible for over 8 billion data points collected daily in the US alone? Oh, and let's not forget airplane mode. Think that keeps you safe? In 2024, cybersecurity analysts discovered that many Android models still run background location and sensor services while in airplane mode unless you manually revoke system-level permissions. In short, airplane mode is more like, please don't call me right now, than stop tracking me. This isn't a phone anymore. It's a biometric drone you voluntarily carry. Want to fight back? Start by disabling motion sensors for all non-essential apps. Delete apps you don't use, ditch apps that require unnecessary permissions, or if you're serious, carry a de-Googled phone like a Graphene OS device. You're not carrying a phone, you're carrying your own portable surveillance state. 2. That innocent doorbell camera on your street? It's feeding a private surveillance empire. Forget what you think you know about Ring, Nest, Arlo, or whatever brand of smart doorbell your neighbor has perched on their porch like a sentry. These aren't just glorified peepholes. They're full-blown surveillance hubs. with wide-angle HD video, audio recording, motion sensors, and in many cases, 24/7 cloud storage that never gets deleted. You walk your dog past a few houses and boom, you've been filmed from 3 angles, your voice has been recorded, your gait analyzed, and your location timestamped. Without your consent, and without a warrant. In fact, as of 2024, over 15 million smart doorbells are actively recording in the U.S. alone, and that number is climbing by the day. Now here's where it gets really dystopian. These devices don't just store video for their owners, they feed into massive private surveillance networks. Amazon, which owns Ring, has cut deals with over 2,600 police departments in the U.S., allowing law enforcement to request footage from any Ring camera within a given area, often without a warrant and sometimes even without notifying the homeowner. In 2023, Amazon admitted that it handed over footage 11 times without consent or a court order citing emergency circumstances. And who decides what's an emergency? They do. But this isn't just about the cops. Ring's Neighbors app encourages homeowners to post and share footage publicly, creating what experts call a crowdsourced surveillance grid where civilians become unpaid, untrained watchdogs. Think about that. We've privatized the police state, and now the person recording you is just some guy 2 houses down who wanted to see why his package was late. The footage gets geotagged, analyzed, and stored in the cloud. Forever. And with facial recognition being tested across smart camera platforms, it won't be long before every Amazon delivery driver, every jogger, every child walking home from school is tagged and tracked by name. But it's not just the doorbells. Floodlights, garage cams, and even smart mailboxes are coming online with sensors. The smart neighborhood is becoming the surveilled neighborhood, and you don't need to opt in. You're in it just by walking past. What's the fix? Good luck. There's no law that stops your neighbors from filming you. No regulation that limits how Ring shares your image. Your best defense? Awareness. Use privacy screeners when walking. Avoid known high camera zones. And for the love of your dignity, don't assume the suburbs are safe. They're just as wired as any city block and twice as quiet about it. 1. Satellites are watching you. In real time, in color, and in high definition. You ever walk outside, look up at the clear sky, and feel alone? That moment of peace, that sense of privacy in an open field, the thought that you're off the grid, even just for a second? Yeah, you're not. Because hundreds of satellites are floating above you right now. Not just government ones, not just military ones, private satellites, owned by corporations, funded by hedge funds, and what they're capturing isn't abstract imagery or blurry weather maps. It's you. Your movements, your property, your routines, in color, in high definition, with timestamps accurate to the second. Back in the early 2000s, satellite surveillance was still the domain of nation-states, spy agencies, NSA, CIA. Today, that power's been democratized and monetized. In 2023, Planet Labs operated over 200 Earth imaging satellites, capable of photographing the entire surface of the Earth every single day. In 2024, Black Sky Global took it further, offering real-time video streams of global hotspots with latency measured in seconds. These are companies anyone can hire. Real estate firms use them. So do insurance companies. Hedge funds use them to track cargo shipments and factory activity. Law enforcement? They've been quietly tapping in too, often through third-party data brokers that give them access without ever needing a warrant. And let's talk resolution. You probably think satellite images are all pixelated and low def, right? Not anymore. U.S. companies are allowed to sell images down to 25 centimeters resolution. That's sharp enough to identify your car make and model, distinguish your clothing color, and see which direction you're facing. Military satellites? Their capabilities are classified, but insiders suggest they can read license plates. The private sector is catching up fast, and worse, they're combining satellite imagery with AI object recognition, motion pattern analysis, and facial databases to track individuals across entire cities. No one's talking about this because it's too big, too abstract. But the reality is this: privacy no longer requires a warrant to breach. It just needs a subscription. Governments, private intelligence firms, even billionaires now have God's eye views of the world, and they're monetizing that vision. You're a dot in a global simulation, a trackable heat signature in a world of moving data. And you thought staying offline would keep you hidden? Think again. You made it to the end, and if you're not disturbed right now, you weren't paying attention. This isn't sci-fi. It's not a future threat. It's the reality we're already living in. You're not off the grid. You're on every grid. Your movements are tracked. Your face is scanned. Your voice is stored, and your behavior is monetized. Every second you exist in modern society. And here's the worst part. Most of it is legal. No warrants, no alerts, no transparency. Just data siphoned from your daily life and sold to whoever pays the most. Governments, corporations, foreign buyers, even scammers. This isn't just about privacy. It's about control. But now you know. And once you know, you can start fighting back. Cut permissions. Use privacy tools. Question every smart device in your life. Because silence is compliance, and ignorance is what built this surveillance empire. If this woke you up, share it. If it pissed you off, good. That means you're finally seeing what's happening. Because they don't stop watching. But now, you're watching back.